What's up everyone, I'm CallumOnToast, and in today's video I'm going to be showcasing some battles in the Great League Remix Cup with another Pokemon that's been in the game for quite a while now, but is now finally available to catch below 1500 CP, and that Pokemon is Dhelmise. Now previously this Pokemon was only available in raids, and whilst you could trade it down to fit into the Great League, it had pretty low odds, and despite trying a bunch of times, I hadn't been able to obtain one until today, as it's now available in the May Go Pass as a reward in the deluxe version. Now I still don't really know how this Go Pass works, if everyone has access to it now or if it's still region specific, but I will tell you now, if you are unable to obtain this Pokemon, do not worry, as it's not very good. It's pretty much just a more attack weighted version of Trevenant, and Trevenant kind of fell off anyways. But despite that, I was still able to pick up some very crazy wins with this team. So with that being said, let's just get into the question of the day. What is your opinion of the new monthly Go Passes? Let me know in the comment section down below, and with that being said, let's get into the battles now. I was heading into the first battle, leading Dragalge into a Shadow Golurk. Of course, not a very good matchup for me. Going to be safe swapping into Decidueye, and the opponent actually choosing to stay in, taking huge damage from these Astonishes. They fire off the Shadow Punch, grab a shield advantage, and then swap into a Shadow Gramble. So straight away I'm thinking, oh, it's going to be double charm here. We go for Spirit Shackle. Spirit Shackle could have a chance to drop their defense. However, it does not work for us in this circumstance. At this point, they do farm me down before I even reach a second charge move, and they do come out, reaching a charge move just before we do get to an Aqua Tail. At this point, I'm going to shield this, and now I'm actually going to swap into my Dhelmise, reading that it will be double charm. I bank the Aqua Tail for later, and let's see what the opponent wants to do. The opponent's going to wait out Switch Clock, then come in with a Dragon Tail Steelix, which is definitely not what I was expecting, but I can fire off the Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball gonna be no-shielded by the opponent. They commit to a farm down, but Dhelmise able to reach a last-second charge move. Absolutely huge for me. Power Whip, grabs the final shield, and now we can come in with Dragalge and go straight for the Aqua Tail, winning CMP. Aqua Tail gets the KO there, and Shadow Golurk is in range, where we can just Dragon Tail, farm them all the way down, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's up on there, into next battle, Dragalge into Tinkaton. So, of course, Nightmare lead for me, going to be safe swapping into Decidueye, and I will have to say, like, this was the worst thing for this team. The amount of times that Ferret just came in to my Decidueye safe swap. This is kind of why I don't think Decidueye works very well as a safe swap, but I just wanted an ABB style team here. We do go for the Frenzy Plant, and it does connect, which means it's a lot more comfortable for me to just come in with Dragalge and farm them down. I'm not going to commit a shield here. I'm happy to just sponge whatever damage they throw here, but I will also say, for whatever reason, so many Ferret went for Trailblaze up against Dragalge when it's double resisted and non-stab. Literally makes zero sense, but whatever. We're able to land the Aqua Tail, doesn't do much damage, but they swap out there. A case of you swap, I swap kind of thing, and they swap into Jellicent. So the opponent just fully sacrificing it there, as they do not tank a Power Whip, but things are still looking very tricky for us. I'm going to shield here. The opponent does full send the play rough. I'm now going to overfarm, throw on CMP, and the opponent is now just going to throw a Bulldoze. So Bulldoze, of course, will be resisted, so I'm actually going to no-shield this, but I don't know how much damage it's going to do. It does get us fairly low. I'm not confident that Dhelmise will reach another charge move, so I swap back into Dragalge. I'm going to have to shield one of these charge moves here as they go for a Bulldoze. Bulldoze does not drop my defense, so maybe, just maybe, Dragalge can hang on and live another Bulldoze here. Of course, it's non-stab. It's not the best charge move ever. Bulldoze actually doesn't take us out, but even worse, it allows them to get more farm. But Dhelmise just barely able to reach a last-second Power Whip, and from this range, Power Whip gets the KO up against the Tinkaton, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's top on there, into the next battle, we see Dragalge into a Grumpig. So, of course, not really ideal. Safe swapping into Decidueye, and not a Ferret, but actually probably worse for us, as they come in with a Bombardier. And this is another Pokemon I actually really want to showcase. I just don't have this Pokemon. I have not done any raids for it, so I don't have access to one, which is a bit of a shame. I think it is coming back into raids, maybe in this event right now that we've got, but I'm not actually sure. I haven't seen one yet. But either way, they go for the Fly. Fly does big damage. We do get that Dragon Tail farm down. They come back in with the Grumpig. I will just fire off the Aqua Tail here, as my Switch Clock just barely not up in time. We're now going to swap into Dhelmise. They come in with a Primeape, and up against most Ghost types, you're thinking, okay, I'll let the first move go through here, but Rage Fist does so much damage there. It's actually going to allow them to just fully farm me down. You can see we actually win CMP. That's not always the case. I think it is just IV dependent, so I guess the opponent has a really good IV Primeape, which means, of course, my Meh IV Dhelmise is winning CMP, but unfortunately for me, because we're winning CMP, it means I'm not able to tank the damage as comfortably. They can actually go for the resisted Karate Chop farm down, and there's definitely no point in shielding here. Rage Fist gets the KO, and unfortunately, I do lose that game. But GG's top end there into next battle. See Makago in the lead, so a great lead matchup for me. Definitely where we need to see it. Well, what the heck? They say swap into Jellicent, and they go straight for a Surf here. And honestly, I was thinking, like, did I just miscount there? There's no reason to go for Surf, but they go for Surf there, which means I can just no-shield this. I can now go for a Spirit Shackle here. Spirit Shackle gets the KO. They come back in with Makago, and I could have possibly tried to commit to a Frenzy Plant there, but it is just down to damage registration error. I'd rather go for the Spirit Shackle, and we grab a shield and drop the defense anyways, and they don't throw straight away either, so I still make it to the Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail going to grab the final shield from the opponent, and at this point, I wasn't going to shield, but now I think I will as they go for the Rock Tomb, debuffing my attack, and they swap into their final Pokemon, a Dusknoir. So what I do, I bank the Aqua Tail before swapping into my Dhelmise. I can safely shield up the Shadow Punch here. I will be able to outpace them to the next charge move, full sending the Shadow Ball. I think Power Whip would have been enough damage to get the KO, but it doesn't really matter. We're playing it as safe as possible. We come back in with Dragalge, winning CMP up against Makago, and of course, double super effective. Aqua Tail gets the KO there, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's top on there into next battle. See Dragalge into Alolan Marowak. So, actually, fairly positive matchup for us here as I'm going to resist the Fire Spin damage. Technically, they can outpace us to the second charge move here. We're going to no-shield the first one as they go for a Bone Club. It's super effective, but that's okay. I'm now going to overfarm here, throwing the Aqua Tail just before they reach Bone Club number 2. And Aqua Tail going to be shielded. If they overfarmed by one Fire Spin, I would have tried to catch it onto Decidueye, but they don't. They actually throw straight away. And now we swap at the same time as the opponent, but we come in with our Decidueye. So at this point, Decidueye definitely tankier than the Dhelmise. I'm going to no-shield this, save my shield for Dhelmise in the end game. We go straight for Frenzy Plant, and the opponent actually just no-shields their Pangoro. And let's see what the opponent wants to do. They're going to come back in with the Marowak, and they are able to Fire Spin farm me down, but I've put them into range where one Shadow Claw will be enough to snipe them here. They will not reach a charge move, so we get the Shadow Claw farm down, and they've got Scrafty in the back. So, of course, Double Dark up against my double Ghost back line, but not too bad for me as they have double resisted fast move pressure. You can see Power Whip does huge damage to the point where I actually just don't need to shield this at all. Gonna no-shield, foul play, gets the KO there, but we can come in with Dragalge. I can just safely shield up this final charge move, even if they go for an upper hand and debuff my defense, it doesn't matter. One more Dragon Tail gets the farm down, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's top on there into the next battle. See Dragalge into a Toxapex. So, not too bad for me, but my charge moves are going to be resisted. But the opponent actually does me a favor there as they swap into an Umbreon. Of course, I've got a double Ghost backline. I need to see the Umbreon here. They might be on Psychic, but I'm going to no-shield the first charge move anyways. Dragalge should be able to tank anything, and they go for a foul play. So at this point, going to no-shield once again as they go for a second foul play. I'm going to overfarm and then go for a CMP tie, firing off the Sludge Bomb as soon as the opponent reaches their third foul play. Sludge Bomb gets the KO there, and then I will swap instantly into my Decidueye. But if they've got Double Dark, then we could be in trouble. So the opponent comes back in with the Toxapex, and they have farmed up to the Sludge Wave. I will respect it. The opponent full sends the Sludge Wave before swapping into a Greninja. Now, this is where things get a little bit tricky for me. I'm actually going to go for a Spirit Shackle here as they just have to shield this, and they do shield. Unfortunately, no defense drop, and I've only got resisted fast moves on my two Grass-type Pokemon, so this is quite awkward for me. I'm going to go and full send the Frenzy Plant this time around. Frenzy Plant going to grab the final shield here, but they do considerably overfarm, and that is incredibly problematic for me. If they threw straight away, I might still have a chance here, but unfortunately, because they overfarm, even if I'm able to make a very nice catch onto my Dragalge, which I am able to do, they will still reach another Night Sash here. So at this point, Night Sash gets the KO, but we come back in and they still reach another move, and whilst I should just barely live this, it doesn't really help me all that much. I'm going to go for the Power Whip straight away, but their Toxapex is still way too healthy. I'm going to take neutral damage from the Poison Jabs, just 2 Poison Jabs, gets the KO there, and unfortunately I do lose that game. But GG's top in there into the next battle. We see a Shadow Dragonite in the lead. They say swap into Clefable. Now, I could have swapped out into Decidueye, but we've got Sludge Bomb, and the opponent might not remember that Sludge Bomb got added to Dragalge. What the hell? What the hell is going on? To Dragalge's move pool. There we go. We land the Sludge Bomb. Oh my gosh. I probably should just cut that out, but I'm going to keep it in. I'm sure someone's going to find that funny. But anyways, we are able to connect as the opponent didn't realize that, of course, Sludge Bomb costing way less energy than a Sludge Sludge Wave. We go for the Aqua Tail there. The opponent does actually call that correctly. So this one, I'm going to have to no-shield this. The opponent goes for the Dragon Claw before swapping into a Jellicent. Now, they've got 2 shields in play. I'm going for the Spirit Shackle just because we have that chance to drop their defense. And Spirit Shackle does not drop their defense, so that is unfortunate for me. Of course, we still have a potential win condition, but I will need to make a catch onto my Dragalge. So at this point, gonna shield, and the opponent is gonna go for a Surf Bait there, so they're 1 away from the charge move, and I'm able to swap, catch the move perfectly onto Dragalge. It's the Shadow Ball, and that should now allow me to go for a full Shadow Claw farm down, and I can just Shadow Claw farm down the Shadow Dragonite to take that game. So, GG's to opponent there into the next battle. We're going to see Dragalge into a Togetic. So, of course, we do have Sludge Bomb, but it's just going to take us so long to get there. So, I'm actually going to swap out into my Decidueye. They could be running Aerial Ace. Quite unlikely. I actually run Togetic with Aerial Ace earlier in this meta just because I didn't have too many charge DMs. And it kind of worked out for me, but I was going mostly for Psychic anyway. So, yeah, it doesn't really matter too much. But at this point, we bait out a Dusclops and this, Dust Noir. And this should be the Yonkus Legend Run team. So, if that's the case, it's going to be Skeledirge in the back. So I try to grab all shields from the opponent. I'm able to do that. And now we are going to come in with Dragalge. They go for Shadow Punch. I'm going to swap straight away into Dhelmise, hoping the opponent would just instantly swap out. But they don't. They stay in with the Togetic. They go for Dazzling Gleam. It does huge damage. And they're actually able to snipe. And it was not a Skeledirge. If it was Skeledirge, I make it to the Shadow Ball there. But unfortunately, it was not. And because it's a Jellicent, of course, they're going to resist the charge moves on Dragalge. It was game over. So really nice play on the opponent's end there, and I do just concede the match. But into the next battle, and GG's to that opponent, by the way, we're going to see a safe swap into a Corviknight, and we're actually going to come in with our Decidueye, of course, resisting the sand attack damage. These Astonishes, these Spirit Shackles, they are going to add up over time, and we drop the defense this time as well. So Spirit Shackle, number 2, coming through. It doesn't quite get the KO from that range, but it is a CMP tie. So honestly, even if I shield here, can't get too much farm, so maybe what I should have done is undercharge that if I realized it wasn't going to get the KO. But either way, doesn't really matter. They come in with a Primeape. They go straight for Rage Fist, and we're able to tank it. So at this point, I'm going to fire off another Spirit Shackle. If they shield this, I'm going to swap out straight away into Dragalge, and they come in with their final Pokemon, a Swampert. So of course, going for the Aqua Tail here. If they are on Sludge and Hydro Cannon, then I should actually resist all the charge moves that they throw. So what I'm going to do here, I'm not going to bother throwing a charge move. Instead, Hydro Cannon comes through. I'm going to force them to throw another move straight away. And this is absolutely fine now, as now Hydro Cannon gets the KO. I come in with the Dhelmise, and they will reach a Rage Fist up against the Dhelmise. This is going to do big damage, but Dhelmise will be able to tank it. And now we can just go straight for the Power Whip. And of course, from this range, Power Whip easily enough to take out the Primeape. And I'm able to take that game. So, GG's up on that into next battle. We see Dragalge into Shadow Alolan Ninetales. Huge core breaker to the team. And I think it was at this point where I was like, oh wait, we're triple weak to ice. Didn't really think about that. And they are on Powder Snow as well. So definitely not ideal for me in the slightest. But gonna shield once, fire off the Spirit Shackle. They should now have the energy for another Weather Ball. But they swap, they catch onto Fire, and things go from bad to worse, as that is double resisted. It does not drop their defense, and they get a Sucker Punch farm down. So honestly, things are really not looking too good for me, but I'm going to no-shield. The opponent is going to go for Trailblaze once again. I mentioned this already. Like, why are you doing this? Go for Swift. It's neutral. It's stab. It does more damage there, and you would be able to reach 2 charge moves anyways, but now I'm able to swap out, catch the charge move onto my Dhelmise. Swift, double resisted. They are boosted, and the Sucker Punches do kind of chunk there, but I will shield here, as I know the opponent is very close to back-to-back Weather Balls, but I kind of need the Shadow Claw damage, so I need something like a Macargo in the back. Basically, that's my only win condition at this point, but we can get the resisted Dragon Tail farm down, and it's a Diggersby. So whilst Aqua Tail gonna hit for super effective damage, there's no point throwing here. The opponent can outpace me before I'm able to reach like 4 Aqua Tails to the Fire Punch, and unfortunately from that range it does get the KO there. But GG's up on there into the next battle. We see a Dust Noir in the lead, so we're going to stay in here, and we're actually going to win CMP in this matchup. I didn't realize that was the case, but either way, that's fine with me. Aqua Tail going to be no-shielded, and now I'm hoping I put them into range where 3 Astonishes will get the farm down. So I snipe with my Decidueye, and Decidueye able to get that farm down. Huge for me. They come in with a Diggersby, and we're going straight for Frenzy Plant here. Of course, I could go for a very risky bait with Spirit Shackle, but I just think that's not really worth it for me, as the opponent is going to throw just before we reach a second Frenzy Plant. So very good timing by the opponent. I'm going to throw straight away here because if I go for one extra, the opponent can actually outpace me to Fire Punch number 2. We're able to grab the final shield from the opponent, and at this point I'm happy with Decidueye's work here. I'm hoping I put them into range where Power Whip will get the KO. I'm not entirely sure that is the case. So what I'm actually going to do is come in with Dragalge and just force them to throw their energy. The opponent's actually going to go for a Fire Punch there, which does not get the KO, which means I can actually reach an Aqua Tail, and this will just guarantee that a Power Whip will KO. And actually, well, I maybe didn't even need to throw that. I could have banked it possibly and swapped out there. But either way, I shield the first Fire Punch. I don't know what's in the back, but I'm assuming since they're staying in here, maybe it's not going to be too good up against my Dhelmise. So I'm actually going to let the next Fire Punch go through. I'm now going to considerably overfarm, fire off the Power Whip here. Power Whip, of course, going to get the KO, and they've got a Primeape in the back. So I go for 3 Shadow Claws, fire off that Shadow Ball straight away, and Shadow Ball gets the one shot up against the Primeape, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's to that opponent there. Into next battle, we see Grumpig in the lead. So we're going to be safe swapping into Decidueye, and again met with a fire. So, not really ideal for us in the slightest. Gonna fire off the Frenzy Plant here. Frenzy Plant going to be no-shielded by the opponent, and can we reach a last-second charge move? No, we go down as we get the energy there. Very unfortunate. The opponent gonna fire off the charge move here, and again they go for Trailblaze. Like, what is this? Has someone told Fire users that they can only fire off Trailblaze as their first charge move? I don't really know. Either way, of course, they have a boosted Swift, but if they went for back-to-back Swifts there, I'm sure they would have done more damage. But either way, it doesn't really matter. We're not going to complain about it. Instead, we're going to come in with Dhelmise, and they've got a Steel Wing Skarmory. So I think if this had been a Corviknight on Sand Attack, I think I might have a chance here. But these Steel Wings, whilst it's not the best move here, they are still really chunking this Dhelmise to the point where I can shield this up. I can commit to a full Shadow Claw farm down, but I'm going to be in the range where they can just Sidewave farm me down. So definitely not ideal for me. I need to be able to reach back-to-back charge moves, and that's just not going to happen from this range. You can see I'm 1 away from a second Power Whip, but a single Sidewave will get the farm down. They can Sidewave, farm down Dragalge, and unfortunately I do lose that game. But GG's up on their into the next battle. Shadow Golurk in the lead once again, and this time they are a lot faster to swap out. They come in with a Dax Bun, and I'm going straight for Frenzy Plant here. I believe I should be able to reach 2 Frenzy Plants anyways, but they no-shield the first one. Unfortunately, they do reach a Psychic Fangs here, and I should live this, but actually I want to flip switch advantage here. If the opponent wants to come back in with the Golurk, that's absolutely fine with me, because I will actually reach a Spirit Shackle if they come in with the Golurk, and they do exactly that. So I'm going to go for that Spirit Shackle. Spirit Shackle, I'm going to be shielded by the opponent. I actually tank another Mud Slap, which means I get 1 extra Astonish, and their final Pokemon going to be a Fortress. So fine with me. I can go straight for the Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball going to be no shielded. I swap into Dragalge, force the opponent to go for an Earthquake if they're running it, and the opponent does full send the Earthquake. That does big damage, but it actually does not get the KO. So what we're going to do here, we're going to wait a little bit there, go for the Dragon Tail farm down, and now I should be able to safely go for the Shadow Claw farm down. They could have thrown 1 charge move, but they would not reach back to back, and so I'm able to take that game. So, GG's up on there, into next battle, see Shadow Abomasnow in the lead, and once again, huge core breaker to the team. I'm just going to have to no-shield this. I think Dragalge is the bulkiest Pokemon on this team. Could be wrong there, could be Decidueye, but I think it is Dragalge. So no-shield that, I'm going to have to shield now, as the opponent going to go for the Weather Ball before swapping into a Dragonair now. Unfortunate for me, but they only have resisted charge moves to throw, so I'm going to go for the Spirit Shackle. Spirit Shackle does not drop their defense once again, which is not ideal for me, but I should tank the Aqua Tail and reach another Spirit Shackle. So Spirit Shackle is going to connect. It does decent damage there. If I drop the defense, I think they'd be in range for me to Shadow Claw farm them down, but unfortunately, they are able to reach a last-second Aqua Tail, and again, it's resisted, so I have to just tank this here. The opponent is going to come back in with the Shadow Abomasnow, so I'm going straight for Power Whip here. Power Whip is going to grab the final shield, so I snipe with Dragalge. I go straight for the Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail is going to not quite get the KO though, and that is super unfortunate for me, as the opponent's going to have a Swampert in the back, so I can, of course, shield this up here. We've now got the energy for the Power Whip, and Power Whip, obviously, double super effective. It easily gets the one shot, but it's a simultaneous KO, as their Abomasnow survived with 1 HP and a Dream, and unfortunately, we end in a tie. But GG's to that opponent there. Into the next battle, we're going to see a Skeledirge in the lead, so I'm trying to not throw on poor timing. However, it's a little bit awkward for me here, so I'm going to go for the Aqua Tail. Not the best timing, but I only give away 2 free turns, and the opponent opponent is now going to fire off a charge move of their own. I'm going to no shield, and they actually go for a disarming voice, so not too bad for me. And they go for the extra incinerate. So now, just going to fire off one Dragon Tail, go for the Aqua Tail, and then I swap at the same time as the opponent. I was trying to snipe with the Astonish damage, but they actually swap into a Charge Bug. Now I go for Spirit Shackle, again, not getting the defense drop, but it doesn't really matter too much. I'm going to no shield. They could have been on Crunch there, but I realize, of course, I've got Dhelmise anyway, so if they are weak to Decidueye, I think Dhelmise will be fine. But now I'm going to shield this. They might come in with the Skeledirge and go straight for the charge move. So I realize I can shield this, and now they will not get a single Incinerate to register. We can go for the full Astonish Farm down, and they've got the Denate in the back, and we've got back-to-back Frenzy Plants loaded. First one, gonna do huge damage. The second Frenzy Plant will be more than enough damage to get the KO from this range, and Dhelmise not even necessary for this battle, as the opponent clearly leaving the app there. We get the KO, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG to there. Into the next battle, we see a Whimsicott in the lead, so not really ideal for me, but again, we've got a Sludge Bomb, and I don't know if the opponent will be aware of that, but they swap into a Crocodile, so not really ideal, but they have given me a huge energy advantage. I go for Spirit Shackle, once again, not getting that defense drop. And we are going to go for a second Spirit Shackle, though, before they can farm me down. Spirit Shackle number 2 does grab a shield, and we get them into range where we can just Dragon Tail farm them down. They're only going to reach one charge move, and Crunch or Disarming Voice, doesn't really matter what they throw, they deal the same damage. It's not going to do too much damage here, and we can go for the Dragon Tail farm down, but I think I will just swap out straight away. That might be a mistake. Maybe I should have stayed in, as they've got a Macargo as their final Pokemon, and I can reach a Shadow Ball here. Shadow Ball gonna hit incredibly hard, but they're still just barely able to Incinerate, farm me all the way down. And at this point, it's going to be game over. There's no point shielding here, because if I shield, they can just go for back-to-back Moonblast with the Whimsicott. My only win condition is if they don't know this is a Sludge Bomb, but they shield anyway. So we go down with 2 shields. GG's to that trainer there. And into the final battle of this video, leading Dragalge into a Carbink. So again, not really ideal for me. Going to be safe swapping into Decidueye, and the opponent comes in with a Corviknight. So this is definitely a matchup that I can flip here. So I'm going to go straight for Spirit Shackle. Spirit Shackle, again, not dropping that defense. That would have been quite ideal for me, because a second Spirit Shackle with Astonishers doing more damage probably would get the KO. But from this range, okay, well, it doesn't really matter too much. I can definitely get the farm down here. But either way, Spirit Shackle does grab the shield. This time we get the defense drop. Doesn't really help me at this point. But either way, I'm going to double shield. They actually go for an Iron Head there. So if I was paying attention, maybe I could have no-shielded that. But either way, it doesn't really matter too much. We come out with the Frenzy Plant loaded. They no-shield the first charge move there. And we're going to get to the next move at the same time. So I'll just go for the Frenzy Plant again to guarantee the KO. And the opponent used their final shield. They fire off a charge move here. The opponent going to go for the Power Gem. I'm going to come in with my Dhelmise. I'm thinking about what to do. We come in with the Dhelmise, and they've got a Tinkaton, but they go straight for a Bulldoze. This makes no sense. Bulldoze, non-stab, awful move. It's also resisted. Why are you throwing Bulldoze there? I don't know. But either way, we full send the Shadow Ball. Again, the opponent goes for a Bulldoze. Don't really understand it. Doesn't really matter. I'm not going to complain. We're going to go for the Shadow Claw farm down, and we can go for the Power Whip here. And of course, super effective up against the Carbink. From this range, it takes out the Carbink, and I'm able to take that game. So that's going to be it for today's video. If you did enjoy it, please make sure you leave a like, leave a comment letting me know, and as well, don't forget to respond to the question of the day if you haven't done so already. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications. That way you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. And if you want to take your support even further, you can now become a channel member with perks including early access to new videos, shoutouts at the end of each video, custom loyalty badges, and custom emojis to use in the comments. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone that has already become a channel member. Your support is greatly appreciated, and with that being said, thank you all so much for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.